And we are back with another beautiful set of games and a new caster. Allie's here coming with us. How you feeling?
I am feeling good. It's been a minute since I've gotten to do a broadcast, and the stars aligned for tonight, so I'm back. I'm excited for that, and I'm very excited about this matchup, as this one looks like it should be a very fun one.
Absolutely. Hakikimori. Obviously, some of you might know them by their previous name, but they obviously just picked up a new team, had a bit of a swap around with teams, so that'll be the big thing to keep your eyes on under a new banner. Honestly, very, very excited. But either way, I think this is about to be a banger, as you mentioned. Should be, in my opinion, a close game. I don't know if it can beat last game. That was a very, very close one at a 7-5, but we can hope.
Anything is possible with the technology of overtime, but let's get into these rosters just a little bit to kind of see who are the players that are going to be fighting it out in the arena tonight. We have Hakikimori first, which was previously in Control Nation, but they just got picked up by this new org. I don't think that Sky is on the far. Why is Spiff Arc? Hold on. That's not Kool-Aid.
Okay, swap the old. This is swap this. This is the Triple T team. This is the Rife Asian stack. It's still the same. It's you know Arc, you know Lecky, you know Zers, no Kool-Aids, guys. I'm personally a Kool-Aid fan, and I will admit that personally. I am biased. He's one of my favorite players. But in all honesty, this is still a very fun roster. I'm very excited, despite the player pictures maybe being absent for now.
I'm also very excited. It's a roster that,
Hey.
I mean, not this specific version, but combinations of these players I have casted on other teams before, and there have been flashes of greatness. There have been things to really look forward to with some more practice and maybe a few different pieces. And you mentioned Kool-Aid. I think is a great player to highlight. When I casted him in Challenger Series in the playoffs, he was super consistently a clutch player for that team. He had so much impact on every round they had, whether it be his shot calling or, like I said, the ability to just win a 1vx. But we have just been told it's actually Beastly who's playing tonight.
Aww.
So you have a little bit of a different player. I think Beastly has spent a while coaching, so he is still going to have a lot of that knowledge that you would expect from a player like Kool-Aid, but maybe he doesn't have that experience in the server that you'd expect someone like Kool-Aid to have, or the recent experience on the server, I should say. And that in of itself can be a tricky thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be obviously interesting because they're likely going to shift roles around. You can't really, I think, just plug and play Kool-Aid the same as you would with Beastly. It's just going to be a bit different. But now we can talk about our reigning champions. In my opinion, one of my favorite rosters to see: TK, Badger, Kixa, Cirx, and Shiba. He'll be the new addition, but we know this core as a whole. I mean, they just won XGS last season in a banger. They beat out Unity for some of you that may or may not have been there. We already know what to see. We already know the ceiling from them. They literally just won last season. If anything, they have extreme expectations coming into this.
Yeah, it is an interesting roster. I mean, looking at this, kind of having known Sesh for a while, with TK being a pretty good friend of mine, I'm seeing a lot of pieces that are familiar, right? You have Cirx and Kixa, who are more recent additions, but Shiba has been on this roster before. He was a very large part of some earlier versions of this roster, and he is a very solid player. So seeing him get added back in isn't really surprising to me, and I don't think it's really going to have... I mean, I think it's going to have a positive impact, right? He is a very solid player. And TK does tend to be pretty choosy with the people that he puts on these teams with him. So that's why we'd be seeing him again.
Absolutely. Let's see if we can roll into those vetoes. I am honestly hoping for another Nighthaven, even though we just saw one. Man can hope. And drum roll, please. All right. Bank. I personally love Bank. I think that the defenses have tended to be polarizing as of recent, and honestly a little bit more attacker-sided than usual, but it's still a fan favorite of map. I still enjoy it. You have any predictions or anything you want to say going into it?
But I think Bank is a map that really tends to reward the team that is better at crossing their I's and dotting their T's efficiently. right? You need to be able to do those things. Bank is a very large map that can have many subtasks that need to get done before you can get to the main thing. But it's also, because it's such a large map and there's so many of those tasks, one where you need to do that efficiently, and the defenders will be trying to trip you up at every single possible step. So both of these teams are going to have a lot laid out in front of them that they need to get through if they ever want any hope of getting that bomb down.
Yeah, I'm honestly very hyped to see Sesh in their return because, I mean, despite the roster being mostly the same, there was a lot of movement during Challenger League. And I think that's the big thing that most people know is, we saw them, they were guaranteed to qualify. Turns out they were not running Moss. They got disqualified. Then Cirques came in to be the single youngest player ever to play in a Challenger League playoffs at 18, in a month or so. Now he's back on Sesh. I mean, despite the same roster, there's been so much movement internally. I think there's been a lot of talks in terms of what they've wanted to change. A new coach came in of Aiden, who was originally the assistant coach for Turtle Tactics. I'm honestly very excited because is this still the same core and returning players? I think there's a renewed life in the team as a whole.
I mean, yeah, like I talked about Sesh bringing Shiba back in, who's been on and off this roster a couple times, right? I think that is kind of the story of Sesh, is the lineup doesn't maybe change as much as a lot of other teams do in terms of the individual players, but just in those players, things switch up constantly. Things are constantly going on. And so they come into this with a fresh perspective, new experiences. Maybe they've taken a break for a while. And each time it does have an impact on how the team has to function, how things have to progress. And so we'll see with the experience you just mentioned, right? With Shiba coming back into the fold, but the new coach, all of that can really dramatically affect how they have to go about this from the previous season. And then Hakikimori, right? They're, I mean, to my knowledge, a little bit newer of a roster than Sesh is. They just got onto a bigger org. I believe they're going to the Philly land, right? So they have a lot going on, on their end as well. They have a lot they need to consider. So both these teams, I think this really is going to be an important match for them, kind of in terms of seeing how you do against a higher skilled opponent, right? Like when you're playing against the cream of the crop, the best of the best, how does your system hold up? What changes need to be made? So if you get to those playoffs, you can replicate your previous season if you're Sesh, or dethrone the champions if you're Hakikimori.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the very few games where I generally ask, every co-caster, I want to get a hard prediction from you. As much as I want to say Sesh, I honestly feel like we're going to see a lot more from Hakikimori or X in Control than people are going to expect. I mean, the roster is great, obviously. I think it's the big thing to look forward to. Obviously, the big change would have been Kaysen. Him, obviously, leaving the team had a pretty profound impact. He was, I'd still argue, the singular greatest prospect in quite a bit. Obviously, you can go back, and I mean, to see him leave was a big loss. To see them then bring in Kool-Aid, honestly, I feel like it was a great pickup. I've loved him, and I think what he can do is still an amazing thing. Now we get to see those bans. It seems electricity may be a bit of a commonplace thing, and a striker ban of all things.
Yeah, that is, I mean, pardon the pun, but that is quite a striking ban to a lot of people, I think, but it does kind of make sense just because striker is an operator that has a lot of utility. I mean, right, as an example, like in ranked, I will often just take a striker and go to the other side of the map. Like if we're playing Oregon, I'll use it to like go tower side and open that wall by myself and push that side, because you can do that with the striker. Or you could bring frag grenades, you could bring claymores, you can bring smokes, you can bring any of the secondary utility you want. You can have 2 pieces of that, and so much of it is so useful that striker really does give you so much flexibility in that utility that you can have.
Fair. Obviously, I'm going to be interested to see how it plays out, because I'm not against the ban, but I don't know. It feels a little bit out of place to some degree. I like a striker ban, but a Habana is more common. I think even a shield would have been a little bit more expected. I think there's some air of mystery to banning that away. I'm interested to see what the play is, because generally you'd fear the Habana simply just because she can get all the hatches by herself. But I guess, a different plan in mind for the side of TeamSESH. It'll be interesting to see at a minimum.
I mean, sometimes it is less about like what do I think is good for the map generally, and what do I think my opponents will miss the most, right? If you have a team that is going to want to open every single hatch, that is going to open every little thing they have access to, maybe Hibana's better, right? But if you have a team that you think is going to maybe be a bit more aggressive, maybe rely less on that, and might ignore the Hibana that's left up, maybe you want to limit the options that the striker brings. And so, these teams, right, they are going to be looking into their opponents as much as possible. They are going to be looking for these tendencies as much as possible. But right now, we're going to be looking for a bit of a break to figure out some technical issues going on. So don't go anywhere too far, because we're going to be right back.
And we are back with, hopefully, no more. And more importantly, I like Beastly. I'm surprised to see him with Shanka. He's picking up certainly what I call the anchor op position. Playing it though, I love myself a little bit of LMG, and whatever anyone would say, it's still ridiculous. 60 damage or so on an automatic weapon, no matter how slow it is a little ridiculous. So Eminem has an amazing gun and likely a DP shield to sit behind and chuck those Shamika annoying launcher pellets. Should be the main plan here is delay it away, is you don't use the Goyo, but gotta have about everything else you could ask for in terms of a delay.
I mean, Tachanka is, he's such a perfect operator for this site, right? Like, you can deny so much from so many different positions with how versatile that Shumika launcher is. Your LMG is great for site setup. You have a shield. He really is kind of everything you could ask for. And then, as we're seeing from Hakikimori here, it frees up that smoke to kind of play in a more adventurous position, which there are quite a few on this site that benefit smoke, but I'm willing to bet money that when I say smoke position on this map, you probably think of blue stairs. And it does look like Zers agrees with me there, is he is actively playing on blue stairs.
Not a big surprise to see him there, as you mentioned. It's when you expect it, it's there. Maybe to play his life. We've occasionally seen players fall off. Some decide to just play it out and see if they can buy, a valuable 30 seconds. Either way, though, TeamSESH slowly but surely developing well in the mid-round here. Haven't quite cleared any of the roamers, but this guy is at minimum creating some pressure. He's realizing he's no longer in quite a safe spot. They do know at minimum where he is, and he'll have to just fall off here, keep it safe. Arguably, the only one really on the roam here is Zers is likely just going to set himself on that blue stairs and wait for the push to come towards him.
DK is an IGL that likes to be very thorough, so any defenders that linger in positions for too long are at a great risk of being outed and, eaten alive. And there's a lot of utility on Sesh to do it, although they do want to preserve a little bit of that for the execute if they can. Notably, that Ying and that Graham are going to have a lot of displacement utility. Although these blue stairs are going to be the next thing that Sesh really wants to focus on, since it looks like they want to kind of go for a blue execute using that CCTV hatch as Overwatch.
Yeah, but a play to possibly be made up. Zers kind of floating around, testing the idea if he can get aggressive, but the Yings will come out, keep him at bay. Slowly or surely, but they're trying to clear him out. Kiksa will find it, goes from the hatch. Now play to be made is you have a pseudo 5v3 here, a great position to be in, and now you're just relying the Chanka to really do all of your delay. Beastly with a major task at hand. He has to do about everything himself, but TK, Kiksa, everyone's finding a pick, and still the advantage is held. TeamSESH find themselves in a pretty perfect position to go for a plan as long as they get some level of stoppage on Beastly in the 2v1, or in the, what would have been a 2v4. It's cleaned out almost immediately, and TeamSESH, the reigning champions, take a very easy basement site.
And boy, do they play like the reigning champions. They got to that point where they were really poking at the site with all of their utility and all their bodies intact, as a lot of that ground had been given up by Hakikimori. And so because everything is intact like that, that just gives so much room for TeamSESH to maneuver things how they want. And they're willing to make aggressive plays, right? This play by Kiksa on that Ying is a perfect example. They use that teamwork off of utility play to get into these great positions and really make the defenders hurt, really isolate them, take those team fights, and destroy the positioning they have, just like my producer yelling at my ear about marbles is going to disrupt my train of thought.
But in all seriousness, for the halftime, sign up, ! Play! Get into the halftime marble show for a little bit of fun in between the halftime timeouts. Gotta at least see how this plays out. TeamSESH, at a minimum, as you mentioned, they move well. That's the big advantage of them, is they've been around for so long, the same core, stuck together. They just have a level of chemistry that isn't generally seen in a lot of teams, and that's always been a big advantage with them. That, and they tend to be a little bit more flexible. Cirques and Kiksa have flexed around when needed. Shiba as well, I think, has come into his own relatively fast. Obviously, already knows the core, so it's not too big of an adjustment. It's a very exciting team to look at because it feels like you can always see something new from them despite being such an older roster, at least in T2 standards.
And I think with you mentioning that Sesh, kind of because they've been around for so long, have that experience, that is one of the disadvantages of having to sub in a player for someone so pivotal, like we see Hakikimori have to do with Kool-Aid, right? You and I both highlighted him in that pre-show when we saw him before we knew he was being subbed out, because he is just that guy. I mean, anytime he's one of those players where when you see him in like a 1v2, you really want to bet on him each time because he's so good in those. And that's not to dunk on Beastly's skill at all, but when you have your coach coming in for someone like that, it can often be a really, really messy situation where you have to shuffle things around a little bit. But SESH are playing at full strength. They know the core, they know the strategies, they know the play. And that dichotomy can really swing in SESH's favor.
I'd say that, though. Minimum Hakikimori do at least find one to work with. Skies gets on the board. Badger will fall, so hard breach not going to be an advantage they have for their first floor site. At minimum, it's still workable. This site doesn't necessarily require hard breach. It does make your life easier, but if you have some well-played verticality, if you have enough done on everything else, you can still have a very successful round and execute, but you're going to have to do it without such a pivotal piece. Ace does fall, and more importantly, Diffuser's still out astray.
There's going to be a refrag from Cirx, however, onto Zur. So not a lot of utility taken off the board, but you still eliminate some manpower, which in some circumstances can be just as good. Last round, part of what allowed SESH to be so pivotal, though, so good, was the fact that they had all their bodies going into that execute. We're going into 45 seconds left. Utility's been expended, bodies have been expended, and SESH don't have the diffuser in their hands. And those are advantages that can be played around by Hakikimori.
Yeah, and the smokes from Beastly. If he stays alive, that could buy another 15, 30, 45 seconds. The C-picks fall. TK will find one. He's at 3-0. Not the person you'd expect, but maybe the person you need as Arc comes back online. He'll find his first on Shiba. Pixa and TK now need to pick up the pieces in the disadvantageous situation. At least have the flashes to do so. Arc being forced back into the corner. The Fenrir will help with at least giving some level bit of intel, but you can't do anything when you're flash. Lecky with a nice and beautiful one with the pistol. It means Hakikimori will find a good redemption round. They'll tie it back up at a 1-1.
I think in the first round, Hakikimori were a little bit too respectful of SESH's clear. We saw quite a few people drop back as soon as they kind of felt a little bit of pressure, which is pretty standard for this map. But SESH is a team where if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. And all that ground that was given up by Hakikimori in that first round gave SESH the room they needed to really start and execute a strategy pretty flawlessly. Whereas this time, we see Hakikimori are a little bit more brave. They're a little bit more willing to take these extended fights, right? We see a kill happen kind of near the site as Ace is trying to work that, but then we see some other more extended positions being played a little bit later in, and they're not falling off till SESH gets a little bit closer. I mean, Arc played at a fairly aggressive position, even with about 45 seconds left, which isn't something that was done before, and so that forces SESH to clear things a little bit more efficiently, and it means that when they go for that execute, they don't just have the opportunity to do their perfect setup, they have to work for it so much more.
Yeah, I'm honestly very, very excited because I think Hakikimori, once again, the core is good. We're not questioning the core. It's Beastly we're questioning, who's an amazing coach. But as a player, you're going to have to work out a lot of kinks, and I guarantee you positions have been moved around slightly because he's not the same level of aggressive or mechanical player that Kool-Aid is. It's maybe possible we can see a resurgence from them later on, come the second, the back end of this half or the start of the second half, simply just because they need to work out how to play with a coach. Because it isn't obviously their general MO. That isn't what you'd expect from them. Though, so far, TeamSESH still moving fine. We'll pick up the Monty, hoping to likely be a little bit more intel forward. And for the plant is, with all these people over here, we can likely assume they're going to try to go for the plant, run outside with what is easily one of the hardest post plants to stop if you can get it down, but those smokes could become an issue.
There's a lot of utility that SESH is going to have to crunch through on this defense. And it is difficult to stop this post plant to retake the site if that plant goes down, but it's also very difficult to get that kind of plant going in the first place. And so SESH are really gonna have to be very, very careful and efficient here if they want to crunch through everything. Kix is going to be a big part of that with his Flores drones. He only gets 4 of them total, and he's already used 3. And so even if one of them misses, that could potentially be round losing on its own, depending on the piece of utility that SESH now need to leave up.
They at least have the IQ to help them figure out what is going on, and they should hopefully know the echoes are going to be looming around, so I'm not going to be unaware of the possibility of a post plant being a bit iffy if those are still alive. A nice play from TK, though. Aggressive on the Spider-Man repel and still looking for more. Arc taking a couple of shots, but risky fight to take, especially upside down. Continues to play and will be rewarded. The gamble pays off. Looking for a triple and he'll find it. TK, 3 influential picks now as he essentially has a beautiful sight line and control of the site. Beastly, coach now forced her to win a 1v5, but that plant down, this is all but over. It's just a run it down moment. Source cleaned it up in a flawless round for SESH.
Hey, sometimes all you need is for that guy to just say, you know what? I have an idea. And in this case, TK is that idea man. That Spider-Man repel is something that's memed on quite a bit. It's something that you don't always see being the pinnacle of a round, but in this case, it's just the gap that TK needs. People aren't really expecting him to take that position so aggressively like he does. And the fact that he stays on it and keeps hitting his shots means that Hakikimori now have to look in a direction they just weren't anticipating at all. And we see off of that aggression from TK, his teammates start hitting the backside of the site. They move in off of the space that he's taken, which means that now all of this web that Hakikimori was trying to keep up, these bodies that kept alive, are being shuffled around very uncomfortably into the sight lines that SESH want them to walk into. And so there's not really a retake attempt there. There's not a counterattack you can mount because SESH have controlled all of the variables. They have made you move in the exact ways that they need.
10 seconds to insertion.
Take a little shot one last time and one last chance to get into the marble race for this game. Exclamation play to join up, but we got to focus on our actual siege here. We got to see if TeamSESH can continue. It has been, I'd call, a pretty successful half. Once again, this is their first real game, under this new roster. I think this is the first game I'd call where it's a really good team. Obviously, with a bit of a big asterisk with Beastly coming in, but still, this core is a strong core. This core was T2. At minimum, you gotta respect that, and I think the big thing here is let's look good against what is, once again, a T2 core with an asterisk. They've looked fine. They've looked very comfortable, is how I'd describe them. As it feels like the same team that we saw in Challenger Series quals is the exact same team we're seeing here. They still feel like the same roster that won XGS. There hasn't really been that drop off as some other winners have had.
We'll see how this adaptation comes out, though, as this was the site that TeamSESH won initially, and we haven't seen it since, which gives Hakikimori some opportunity to adapt things a little bit. So we're seeing a little bit of a different approach from TeamSESH, however, as TK is knocking on the door of the site already. This wasn't really a thing until very late into the round previously. And even if he doesn't stay here, even if he only opens that wall and leaves, that just shows Hakikimori that they can't adapt to the exact same thing that happened previously. They have to keep thinking. They have to keep watch of exactly what SESH are doing, because any gap you give TK, no matter where it is, he's gonna have someone on the team hit it.
Shiba will find a nice pick on the Beastly. The coach does fall, and more importantly, the shotgun player. You really wanted to hope to see him alive later on. Zers will also go down, likely an easy confirm. Will look to be a really strong roam and something you can be hopeful for. Is so far falling apart. Lecky going to be forced to do a lot of the work by himself with a 16 Magaroni, already forced off by the nades. Badger finds one more. A position that was already disadvantageous becomes even worse. Skies knows Echo drones, the only real piece to stop what is an oncoming plant. Badger will go for it. The Bearing 9 does find one, but still so much more to be done here, and unable to stop the plant. 3v1 as everyone comes online on SESH, and now Skies 1v3 miracle play to bring this one back into contention, to try to keep this game close and at a tie point. Just sit and wait. They have no reason or need to swing here. Just let this clock burn out as is. TK, the IGL at 7-1. An amazing game for him. That's certainly a much better attacking half than expectations maybe had. And now it's just an easy closeout from here. You'll wait it out. You'll let this game burn down, and nice little 3-1 start. You're reigning champions.
You see in this round that the map awareness and the knowledge of exactly what the defenders are going to do when pressure is applied, I mean, it's been mastered by TeamSESH. We see them identify where a defender is, then they apply pressure, and then once that player tries to run away, there's someone holding that cut, immediately ready to get that kill. And then if someone tries to refrag that player that just died, someone on TeamSESH is ready to watch that and make sure that player can't run up and get the kill. And we see that cycle repeat a couple times that round, and it meant that TeamSESH were taking so much ground so quickly, and the attempts to retaliate against that by Hakikimori more often than not led to them either dying or just losing tons of their health, either of which play heavily into the hands of Sesh. And then once they have some of that ground and they know they have some room to play with, then they go in and get that plant down, which makes that situation even worse. Because now you're not only having to work against attackers who've taken good positions, but you have a time limit to do it before the round just ends.
Honestly, it's been so. I'm honestly a little surprised. I really expected more from Hakikimori, even outside of the fact that they do have a coach, which, let's be fair, is a big difference. That obviously just changes things, because I guarantee you, I would bet you right now, and I think you would probably agree, a Kool-Aid core would likely be performing better. Even if the score isn't different, we'd see more flashes from them, because there's no way to keep the roles as they were when you lose a player like Kool-Aid. He's arguably one of their signature players. Whenever we see him, whenever we cast him, it feels like he's always going to be able to be consistent, put up the numbers that they need as a team. So to see him fall has certainly put a bit of a dent into Hakikimori as a team. It's not the same powerful force it's going to be without it. They're going to have to deal with the issue with that. And Kiksa will be on the Ram, likely to maybe go for another aggressive Ram play. At a minimum, the verticality clear should be pretty quick and snappy here, as they do have the Dokkaebi with Shiba to work with. The intel won't be the issue. Now it's just dealing with the 1 or 2 players that do stay of Lucky and Zers.
This is the site that TeamSESH lost previously, and a lot of that was that Hakikimori were kind of able to meet TeamSESH on the beachheads a little bit more thoroughly than they have been in other rounds. And that real competition in those frags and in those trades is a lot of why TeamSESH fell short. And Skies is keeping up with that trend. He's killed off Cirques in the second opening pick that his team has obtained this game. And that Deimos, that is a lot of opportunity for aggression gone. TK is gone as well. That's the top frag of the lobby. Those are 2 massive losses for Sesh.
They get pick up for Arc here, but maybe Shiba can give some more life to the team. Lucky will come in though, a 2v5. Kicks at least tries to keep it close, and Kicks and Badger will now be forced to try to pick up the remnants of Sesh. See if they can get this one to a 4-1 lead. It'll be a valiant effort and a beautiful round, a very game-defining round if they do so. But so much to be done. A pre-fire. Kicks will make sure it's close. Now a pseudo 2v2 in play. Arc on the down does make this round so much harder. Now you're fishing for a lucky pick. We'll finally see confirmed. Kiksa will get his. So much to do, and the big thing is you're working with a coach and a player who's 0-4. You want to see some resurgence here from the side of TeamSESH. You want to see them pick it right back up and find a way to keep going. These sort of rounds can define your games, and with 20 seconds left, and what looks to be a very easy leeway into a plant spot. Feels like this one should be under control. Beastly will be on the floor. Zer's sitting more towards open area. Both of them in a very different angles, trying to catch a lucky play. However, aggressive plays being made. Kiksa finds one, looking for the quad and will do so. Despite being in a 2v4, TeamSESH cleaned it up, and a beautiful round for Kiksa. Absolutely ace player right there.
So we see a lot of information gathering happening in that 2vx, right? In this kinds of situations, it is just about making something happen. You have to force your opponents to make a mistake or capitalize off of one they're already going to make. And we see there that TeamSESH are vigilant about finding the gunfights where they can and really trying to prioritize angles they know are going to be important for the defense. Right? We see the buck going and get the drone off. That eliminates the player the Thorns or the place the Thorns playing in, because like you can't hide there anymore. You're in such an obvious spot now that's so dangerous with information. So he has to move, and they know where Beastly is. Beastly doesn't have a good opportunity to move. And so off of that, him and Keksa, they go into the site, they throw some utility, they bait out some movement, and then once they know where players are, they go in and they take the fights. Even though it was Keksa that did the primary fragging there, Buck was moving in with him. They had that teamwork going. So even if Keksa had died, there's another player staring at those two defenders that could have gotten that refrag. It's just a little... I mean, it's a very impressive play, but there's just a bunch of little things that TeamSESH does so well that allow them to clean up rounds like that.
Not in the first pick within, what, 15 seconds certainly is a great start. Zer's now 0-6, just really not having the greatest game so far. Hopefully we can see a resurgence on the attacking half of it. No one on the side of TeamSESH slowing down. Badger still I think what I'd call a V1 who's easily done the least amount. Shiba's been a little bit more on support and hasn't been as aggressive, but even he's had an amazing game. It feels like everyone on TeamSESH is firing in all cylinders, and I think if you look at this team, the biggest thing to take away is that they feel, if anything, they feel better. They feel renewed after what was obviously a very hard challenger series for them and a very hard ending. Seem to pick themselves right back out. TK at 9-2. The IGL, generally not the person with a 4.5 KD, but it's working out here today as TeamSESH now have a 2-player advantage, only a minute in.
It is really impressive to watch them work when they're kind of, I mean, just doing everything, crossing every T, dotting every I without batting an eye, without having a second thought. And the lack of response from Hakikimori has been quite alarming. I mean, within a few seconds, we see the opening kill come out for TeamSESH, and the response just ends up giving TeamSESH another pick. And since then, we haven't really seen much of a response. C4 goes out and doesn't catch anything, and SESH, even if they don't go for the plant here, are just knocking on the door of the site. They're taking any ground they want.
Skies will at least find one, but Shiba continues to keep it at a nice 2-player advantage, an aggressive play, but taken out. So far, nothing can go right inside of Hakikimori. And while we finish this round, what has been an absolutely dominant half for TeamSESH, we do get to see the marble race, so we're going to be gone for a little bit during the halftime timeout, and y'all get to watch the marbles race it out. listen, Butcher may not be able to play Siege as he's currently banned, but he's still frying people with marbles. So you know what? I gotta respect the competitiveness no matter where he's doing it. And at a minimum, it's a fun little thing to do. It's a nice little, break for us. We get to watch some fun, alternative to a Siege game for a little bit. And it's kind of helpful as this game has been a highlight reel for TeamSESH, but Hakikimori, it's a bit of a dark, big red X, if you will, on their record. But in all honesty, do you think you can chalk this entire game up to the fact that Beastly is here and that just throws everyone off of their tempo?
I don't really think this is Hakikimori losing the game so much as I think it's like Sesh just winning. Like Sesh just looked really, really, really excellent through this entire game, right? I mean, even in that 2v5 that we saw, it really felt like that was just Sesh making the right plays, right? Like there were some mistakes made by Hakikimori, but it felt like those were more like mistakes made by adequate pressure being applied and not like just people screwing up, Like, obviously, you want to say like, well, if Kool-Aid was here, that could really make a difference, right? And it probably would. But I also do think that kind of the main story for me has just been the fact that Sesh look like they're just making the right decisions at all times. And I mean, they have two players at 9 and 3, right? Like, if you kill TK, there's someone on his team that's able to clutch up. And if you kill Kiksa as well, then Shiba has still been doing well. And Cirx and Badger have also still been putting in their work as well. So, at least to me, that's really the important thing for this game, is not so much Beastly, but Sesh as a whole.
I mean, I think that's sort of a good way to put it is, yeah, it was always going to be tough. Like, I don't think anyone was ever going to go into this and say, you guys are the favorites, you're going against the reigning champions with a coach, and nobody on this team expected to have that happen. But at minimum, you do at least get a direct trade. Certainly not a common thing, but I guess host keeping the game close is always a nice thing. Zer's will fall, but he will at least find his first, so sticking the positives. Beastly still killless, sadly. Hoping for a pickup somewhere. TK will have to fall off as well. As at a minimum, this is a little bit better here. You're forcing people off on the basic site. There's still a lot to be done, but there's more flashes in this round than the past few on attack for Hakikimori, or defense.
They have still done... Hakikimori have done a lot of the steps that you really need to do on this site. They've gotten Sesh to give up some space, and now they have all of that to work with and do anything they might want to with it. Although, they still do have to crunch through that defense that Sesh has set up. Cirx could be a big player to find. Arc is going to go ahead and find that kill. That's a huge part of this formula that Hakikimori have just managed to unravel. They've gotten rid of quite a few of those Goyo canisters as well, which means those don't have much, really any time-wasting potential, now that the main ones you want to rely on have gone off. So now that Echo, as well as TKC4, are both going to be massive components of this round that Hakikimori need to deal with.
Pretty perfect position to be in, man. Hakikimori looking quite a bit better. Getting rid of a lot of the delay. The Goyos are starting to fall. Badger with likely a handful of Echoes, and that'll be the big piece to keep in mind now. There's a mechanical play that can still obviously win this round off of pure gun skill, and it wouldn't be the craziest thing at TK at 9 and 3. But a little bit less utility to deal with is always a good point. Like, he will drop. The Goyo slowly going to fade away here. Possible flank play. Echo does go out a little bit early, though. C4 doesn't find it either. Sesh maybe with a bit of a blunder. Arc will find one. He's going to have to pick up the pieces by himself. Gets close, but the plant might be stopped. A nice play. Somehow, TeamSESH pulled out in the last seconds. Absolutely ridiculous in the late game, but I mean, it feels like it sticks to the dominance. They just cannot lose.
Sometimes you just see several dominoes fall in a row in the exact situation they need to. And I feel like that's what we just saw. I mean, TK goes out and he does kind of get fried in that position, but that does free up just enough room for, I believe it was Badger on that Echo, although I could be wrong there. It all happened very fast, but just enough space is freed up that he can go in and get the planter off. Shoot him before he's able to have any real impact with getting that bomb down. And I mean, it does speak to that dominance that we're seeing TeamSESH have, that even in moments where you think surely they're defeated, surely there's no way this works out, they're able to pull things back from the jaws of defeat. But I do also think there is just a little bit of discombobulation in Hakikimori, which, I mean, I don't want to blame it entirely on the sub situation, because that doesn't lose you a whole game, but I do, I mean, if I recall, Kool-Aid is one of the main shot callers for that team, so having him gone is quite dangerous.
Yeah, it isn't an easy thing to work with. And you're gonna have to find some way to pick this up. TeamSESH, you know, about as perfect as you could ask for. One mulligan, and outside of that, good adaptations, highlight reels from them. Try to prove why you were the champion last season and why you deserve to be this season. This feels like a picture perfect campaign for him. Hakikimori will at least try to get a little bit aggressive here. Lucky and Arc on Intel Ops, so that might be the highlight here, but it may not even matter. XGS still finds the first pick, now 11-4, despite what I thought was going to be a much better lineup, but could finally save them, especially with the intel. Doesn't seem to matter as TeamSESH still find the first pick.
Yeah, Arc is a player that you really, if you are a Hakikimori fan, want to be online. He's an exceptionally talented fragger, but the fact that he's been shut down so consistently by Sesh frees up so much space for them. Because, I mean, I saw him at the Philadelphia LAN that NSG did last year. He can really take over entire games by himself, but TeamSESH met him at the door and shut him down consistently. And on the utility side, that's a lot of vertical play gone, which is going to give Sesh more room to dance around the site and prevent this entry from Hakikimori.
Now with a one-player advantage and defense, all they got to do is burn the clock out. Feels like a bad omen so far for Hakikimori. Maybe they can find a round and keep a resurgence moving, at least try to get something rolling on the second half, but I don't know where that resurgence is going to come from. Like, he may have a play up the main stairs, but a camera will give out the intel needed. Keep him a minimum known, so no unknown variables so far for the side of TeamSESH. Have control of everything is the big thing. They don't really have any position right now where you worry and say, this could be iffy, you could lose a couple of picks. Have it all locked down.
50 seconds left, and Lucky has to crawl up these stairs. He has to find some pick. But he's made himself quite known in this position, which means that when he goes for this, he's going to have a fight, and Shiba's going to win that fight, which just eliminates more time and options from Hakikimori.
You can hope for a miracle, but you have to have a lot more than just hope. A pre-fire plays. Maybe you can save the round here in a 3v3. A plant is possible. You can sneak yourself over to A-bomb and hide. That post-plant is an easy win if you can get it down. 12-4, Kiksa taking himself back up, 15 seconds left. Sky is going to have to do everything as Beastly cannot find the picks needed. Kiksa will find Beastly, looking for them both. A quad kill to end, a highlight reel to finish, and if that doesn't say what TeamSESH is, if that doesn't give you your expectations for this season, I don't know what will.
They certainly have set themselves up with quite the expectation for this season. I mean, defeating what I think a lot of people would consider probably their biggest threat in this tournament so early on, so dominantly, that sends a message, but it also puts a target on your back, because you show that you are good, that you have the potential to be the best team in XGS again, but you also show that you need to be respected and that teams need to put the effort in to counter you. And so TeamSESH, they're going to have to deal with that double-edged sword, that double-sided coin as they go through. But for now, for tonight, they can celebrate that victory.
Yeah, I mean, I'm never going to say they're going to be the most dominant team ever in XGS, but I'm just saying it's possible. There's a real chance they go back-to-back. Is it guaranteed? Absolutely not. I'm throwing it out there as a mere idea to throw into the world, but a 7-1 like this, they looked great in Challenger Series with this core. They have a new coach that has looked good. I have not heard a single bad thing about them so far from games within the teammates. Again, when they're playing against people, I haven't seen a team this refined in the T3 space in quite a bit, where it feels like there isn't really a flaw that you can exploit. It feels like this is finally a team that is complete in T3.
We're going to have the stats up in just a second to really dissect that game. And I think the entry game kind of says everything about this, right? There are only 2 entry picks on the side of Hakikimori, and those are both in the hands of Skies. But everyone, with the exception of Cirques, on TeamSESH had at least one, with Kixa having 3, going 3-0 on entries. And those were, I think, overwhelmingly converted. He also has 100% cost, which
It's ridiculous.
is, to put it very simply, cost is like effectively a measure of impact, right? Kill objective, survive trade. He did all of those things at some point in each round, and he really made Hakikimori have to put the work in to get anything done.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is, like, look at the EPS. There is the lowest player of Cirques is 71. Not a great game from him. He'd be the 3rd best on that team. Right now, everyone was in the 150s. It was, I mean, what more can you ask from a team? That was easily a masterclass from Sesh as a whole. And if you're other teams, you got to be looking very carefully now. This is no longer a core you can say maybe they're washed. Maybe, some time off, some players' movements, some internal discussions would create some flaws and maybe make them crack. They're looking better than ever.
They do look really, really excellent. And obviously, I don't know who they're going to play next, but sure, they're going to be looking out for that. But I want to see more from Hakikimori before I form more of an opinion on them, because, well, this might not have been the best game to judge them by, but we are going to throw things to a break to get the next game ready. So don't go anywhere too far, because we're going to be right back.